Hello, Jamie.
Hi,
Why are you laughing? I just said hello.
because I could hear all of the Tom stuff in the background the whole time,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was they were just going crazy. It was making me laugh.
Hello, Cynthia, retired firefighter 42. And Christine is going to school today. Have a nice day, Christine. What the hell's today? Part one of hearing one Ohio court. Okay, you can't wait. Oh, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Davis early. Yeah, I heard you had that problem. Great. And Valhalla will be joining us at some point too. And hi to people over on Valhalla's stream. And Christy, hello. We are starting now. Hello, Stace. Miami Spice is over at Valhalla's. Hi, how are you doing today? Hey, Jess. And Chelsea B. Indigo.
Hi, Indigo.
Missed you, honey. And Hospice Jess. And Mr. Pew Pew. Danny T. M. Young, you were watching Judge Simpson. Wild afternoon over there. Yeah, he has some fun ones. Hey, Farrell. Denmark in the house. And Sue in the house. Peter, can you give me a soundbite so you can make Jamie happy? Hey, old line. This is a pretty early 7 o'clock. Well, I just wanted to go live. It was the streams. The court starts at 7, so I thought I should be a little bit early on time for once. Well, don't let work get in the way of your pastime. And John H2004 over on Valhalla's side. Hello. Look at that doggy.
Aw.
And Linda Leisure and Linda Evers came in together. I haven't done this in more than a week, Jamie. Good afternoon, genitals.
Aw.
It's so nice when I can say hi to genitals.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite things to say hi to. Hey, Pixie. Well, at least if you're staying busy, you're not getting in trouble. Hello, Helen. And Maya jumped over to Valhalla as well. Hey, Ace. And Wicked Psych. Good morning. Mm-hmm. Whiskey. You chop liver? No, you're not chop liver. I said hi to you. Thank you, Russian bot. Shadow Grey Wolf. Betsy. Why do I always say it like Forrest Gump? Jamie won't answer me anymore. Greedy Bloke, how are you doing? And another Dane in the house. Winasaw. Sunny in the high 75s. Well, it was actually sunny in Denmark as well today, and I had to spend the afternoon in court. Yes, I won't read that aloud, but yes. Jamie, what are you expecting today? Jamie is Jamie's not answering. Did I mute her? No. It's like every other woman in my life. She's just mad at me. You're in both chats. Oh, she lost connection, that's why. Hey, Penela and Vilu. How are we doing, Scandinavian brothers and sisters? Fast group, ¿cómo está? Hellfish Heaven. That's a cool name. Oh, Hellfish. That's Grandpa Simpson's old unit. Snuggy Nuck. Yeah, good point, Jamie. Well said.
I was talking the whole time. You couldn't hear me?
Couldn't hear anything.
I just thought, oh, you're just totally ignoring me and talking over me. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah, I was sitting here. I was asking you a question, and then I sat here thinking, that's kind of rude.
I was answering you, and then you just moved on.
At least just put it on mute so I can see you're not talking.
Well, I wasn't muted. That's why I was weirded out. I was like, all right, whatever. Anyways.
And Sharon is from Sandusky, Ohio. My buddy went to was an exchange student in Sandusky, Ohio. So if you know a Danish guy named Jon, I went to school with that guy. Hey, Ditch Pickle, Mandy Pandy, and Boomister. No, it's just Jamie. She's not a boomer. She's Jamie. But talking about people being something weird, who is absolutely is not a boomer.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? I don't like that.
Hey, Val.
I don't like that at all. I hear it all day. What's up?
Well,
Hey, Val.
hopefully a court sometime soon.
Yeah, you started early on me.
Yeah, but I set it for 7 because I was supposed to have been on with Madame Fox today, but she's been having a little problem, so I thought I could go a little earlier today. Hey, Stephen. It is
Hi,
live,
Jamie.
Steve. Seasword. Pennsylvania.
I was watching Tom's CPU. Something crazy was going on.
Yeah, someone knocked his phone over.
Yeah.
So it's just doing the spinny spin. I was I was about to bring it up, but then someone knocked his phone over and ruined it. So yeah, people are weird out there.
Yeah.
Stay
I
safe.
think
though.
it was one
I
of the
love that guy.
McAlbertsons crowd.
What's today's hearing about? It's just about all the motions they have filed, kind of like the last hearing we saw. It's called Rule 17, but it's motions. They have filed a ton of motions to get phone records, get people in there, and I should really change my shirt because that's annoying to look at on the screen. So it's just I'm pretty sure we're not going to argue that long. Again, just like last time, it took roughly an hour. So it's probably going to be a short one today because there's a lot of that FBI stuff they can't talk about openly. So I think that's it. This is the Karen Reed case. This is the lady who is alleged to have hit her boyfriend with her car during a DUI and unalived him.
Yeah.
But not technically a DUI situation. They think she did it intentionally because she was mad at him.
Yeah, well, that's the newest way. I'm just going to change my shirt because it's annoying me. I'll be right back.
It looks like a sailor's shirt.
But yeah, so they're claiming it's intentional.
Well, and the crazy part, if you have no idea what the case is actually about, the crazy part is it's pretty apparent that she did not do the things the state is claiming she did. And it looks more and more like the state is involved in the ending of this John O'Keefe and trying to cover it up.
Covering up for the people for sure.
Yeah, because the people involved are all police officers.
And all friends. And it's a very odd situation. Very, very suspicious. But when you claim it was accidental, initially and then without any new evidence decide you're going to say it's basically second-degree murder, then yeah, you have a problem. Very odd to me.
Why can't you talk about the FBI stuff? You can't talk about the FBI stuff because there can be ongoing investigations going on. So they can't talk about that because that could give someone an idea that the FBI is looking at them. We know Proctor, the lead detective, is being investigated.
Yeah.
The last hearing, Karen Reed's defense team, it was Alan Jackson, said that he clearly downplayed his connection to the McCabe's and Albert's families during the grand jury hearing, and that Jamie, help me out. Julie, who was it who said he should have a present?
Julie Albert.
Yeah,
So-
Julie Albert. Go.
No, it's just it's Chris Albert's wife, not the so sister of the homeowner or sister-in-law of the homeowner. Yeah.
Yes, but because of the stripes, it makes interference. So yeah, Colin's mom. Yeah, he had 3 days prior to 10 days before it happened. They had talked about the daughter being a babysitter for them, which you normally do with people you absolutely don't know. And 3 days after they arrested Karen Reed, he got that text, someone wants to give you a gift, and he said, you should give it to my wife. That reeks of
Code talk.
It's not proper. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah, and he had to admit to the grand jury that he was hiding his relationship from these people. So, that's
Well, he didn't hide it. He downplayed his relationship.
downplayed, but that was kind of hiding it.
Yeah. What's the biggest trial I will cover this year? The next one.
Good answer.
It's this one is a big case in media. Just go online and see. When I streamed the first hearing, it was me, LTL, and the Glera, and Turtle Boy when he was home, who covered it. Now Brandy is on it. The Welsh guy, Melissa, the lawyer. I'm going on with Megan Fox tomorrow to talk about it. So this is probably the biggest case so far in media attention. But other than that, I'm not really. It's hard to plan because you don't know when they get moved around. I was thinking about maybe doing the Sarah Boone, but that's when I'm in Tennessee, if it ever goes.
If it goes.
Hey, Torhild. Norge eller Sverige? Stacy.
It's not a real language. It's not. It doesn't make any sense.
It's the... Oh, Grant, my favorite idiot. Yeah, I never try to speak to... But right now, I don't have anything. And I have this in the pipeline, and I have the tree house whenever that is scheduled for. I'm normally just surfing around and pick up whatever comes along. I don't sit around and plan for. Jamie just yells at me, and then I don't go.
Yeah, I just see something and say, "Hey, we should do that. It looks good." That's what we do.
Yeah,
and Dolphin Boy is in chat. Hello, Dolphin
Boy. Did you see Megan
No.
downloaded the dolphin echo sound for him? She was playing it the other night with Tug. It was funny.
Hey, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
But other than that, what's coming up of big cases this year? Well, we have the Corey
Richens.
Cody Richards, yeah, because now all of a sudden they found out that her mom apparently have been questioned or have been investigated earlier if she unalived her husband by poisoning. Then we have Courtney Clenny, my favorite knife thrower. Sarah Boone, if it ever goes.
Your favorite knife thrower.
Yeah, because I know you're a skilled Navy man, but still, you couldn't throw a knife 10 feet and then embed it 6 inches into a chest.
Probably not. That's
No.
That's pretty impressive throw.
Pretty impressive.
Smooth as a dolphin.
Smooth
Yeah.
as a dolphin. Love it.
But no, I'm just coasting along and see what comes up. So because I found most of the interesting cases are the ones you don't know about. You could end up like Nicholas and following the Young Thugs Mellow. I don't know, one of those rabbit cases.
YSL Melly.
Yeah, and you're
I
just
think.
sitting there for
Is that it?
months and nothing happens. Hey, Medita. Guten Tag. Wie geht's heute? Well, thank you all for showing up and watching us covering it. Thank you so much, Wicked Psych.
Thanks, Wicked.
It's our pleasure that you want to be here. Then
Heck
Jamie
yeah.
doesn't yell at me but afterwards.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she does, just not about poor performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She yells at you for other things.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Wicked.
Don't you get in on it too, Val.
Well, just because someone was so high he fell asleep. Or was about to fall asleep. We were talking.
I didn't get to see it. I heard though.
It's
Heard
got
it was,
such the makings of a good trial if it wasn't just 9 years long and so ridiculous.
Yes, the defendant is the lady you saw between the two guys. It's Karen Reed, who is alleged to have hit her boyfriend with her car, either doing a 3-point turn or by stabbing him in the face with a cocktail glass, or by reversing 60 feet at 24.6 miles per hour, or just somehow we don't really know how.
the
That's the
stage
latest
version of
theory.
events is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who's this new lady there?
I think that's Alan Jackson's sister. She was added to the team.
Oh. Well, that's fun.
Uh,
He is
yeah.
a firecracker. I like him.
She should be really, really good. So,
She looks
funny
ready.
enough, the blonde lady isn't there today, and I hate her voice. And today we had a prosecutor who had the exact same voice.
Ugh.
There's nothing worse than that tone. Hey, Dolphin Boy.
I think they said they were just supposed to be on camera today, so they didn't have to fly all the way out there.
No, they weren't allowed to do it because they asked about it, and she said nope.
I thought she said it was okay.
Nope. She said because he asked if Karen Reed could do it, and she said no.
Oh, I thought it was just Karen Reed, but they got to be on camera. But whatever, doesn't matter.
Iris, can you share Valhalla's link so I can pin it?
I've got yours.
Chad Gable's jury selection starts Monday. What's the chat? I know that name, and I don't know what it is.
Lori and Chad Daybell, they were the cult.
Oh, the
parents.
Smix cult.
Yeah, with the storms, the raging storms.
Yeah, I feel a tempest in me, just like in that TV show. Hey, yo. And Julie. Good evening. Well, it's barely evening in Scotland. It's only 6 o'clock over at your place. So I thought that's why they brought in Jackson's wife, so you could, not wife, sister. Well, in Alabama, she could be. But I thought they brought her in because he couldn't show up today. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
But yeah, what I heard, she should be really good. They are partners in his law firm, and should be a very competent lawyer. Yeah, you can see it in the rolling by driving drunk and hitting her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, before leaving the scene. That's the charges against her. But those have been changed a couple of times.
And then when she found him the next morning, she was the only one of like 6 people present that were doing anything remotely close to helping the situation.
Yeah, and the chick who called the police, who also was the sister-in-law to the man outside which house he was found, didn't really think maybe I should go check up on my sister. No.
You would think, right?
You'd think.
Say,
Didn't-
hey, there's a guy on the lawn.
Wasn't there just confirmation
What?
that the search was real?
Yeah, last meeting they said they had a Cellbrite guy come in, and the 227 Hoslong to die in cold was real. And Lally said, "Yeah, we never disputed that the 622 and 627, I believe the times are, wasn't real. It's never been contested." But he never answered the 227.
Yeah, the 227 was confirmed to be real, and then she also did at 6:20, like you said, 6:24 and 6:25 or something like that. And that's when she said, "But Karen told me to Google that. That's why I Googled it."
Yeah, because that's what you're thinking about.
Right.
We know there's a lot of motions about phone discovery from different people they want in there, but how much of the motions they will be allowed to argue, I think, will be very questionable. Last time they had a full day set for it, and they got 10 minutes each, because so much of it stems from the 62. Was it 62 or 3,600 pages of paper they got from the feds?
Yeah.
And because there's ongoing investigations, they can't really go into what those papers say.
Yeah. Miss Bev was shutting them down pretty much.
Yeah.
They should dismiss this entire thing. This is ridiculous.
If the feds have an expert saying, we can't find any evidence that that car hit that man, or that man was even hit by a car, how can you go on? But again, it's law enforcement. They just say whatever and just roll with it. They have all the money in the world and all the time in the world.
And they would probably argue that that's just one expert. They could probably find an expert that will say the opposite. So
yeah, she's very thin, and thin ladies often looked a little annoyed.
Because they're always...
Yeah, but when you're so skinny, I think they always look a little...
It's just her hungry face, y'all.
Yeah, she's just
yeah. But she has some stomach problems too. That's why she alleges she left the scene that night, because her stomach was hurting her. Well, she's smiling now.
Yeah.
Are you covering New Hampshire v. Timothy Virrell, Small Town Secret? Oh,
that's the one
that's
I wanted to, but they're not streaming it. Other than
we wanted. That's the guy who alleged to have hidden 2 corpses under his porch. There's no streams of that. This is a pre-trial motion hearing.
Yeah, they haven't even gotten to the trial or whatever. This is
trial
all
is supposed to start April 16th. I can see this part. Can everyone else see the muted part?
Yeah.
She is still single, I think.
Why is it muted?
Unmute the channel.
Who is this? Lon Cuck?
Yeah,
Get it together.
I'm gonna see if Boston has it.
What the hell?
His response to the defendant's motion, he tells us that Michael Proctor does not object to the defendant's motion for an order pursuant to Rule 17, seeking records from the Mass State Police Internal Affairs Division. So he doesn't object to that, so that motion's allowed. Any comment, Mr. Lally?
No, Your Honor, I would just say that the Commonwealth also does not object. Spoken to legal counsel from state police, they do not object. Whatever limited materials are available at this time have already been provided to counsel for both sides with the recognition of an ongoing obligation to provide materials as they exist. So no objection to that being allowed without objection.
All right, so that's one done. The second motion that I'd like to start with is the defendant's motion for Rule 17 directed to Kevin Albert, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert. Before we begin on this, Mr. Lally, is the Commonwealth opposed to
Hi,
either of
Rosalind.
these motions? Just a yes or no? And,
Yes.
okay, and do we have third-party counsel here on either of these objecting?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. All right. So I'll hear from you then, Mr. Yannetti, on your Rule 17 motion, seeking records from April 23rd to the present.
Thank you, Your Honor. With regard to this, Your Honor, Brian Albert was
He started without me, y'all.
certified before a federal grand jury, and he begins reaching out for Brian Higgins. Brian Higgins testified to the federal grand jury that he stopped taking Brian Albert's calls. He stopped replying to Brian Albert's text messages. It's fair to say that led to a panic in the Albert family. We learned that Brian Albert contacted his brother, Canton police officer Kevin Albert, to intervene.
I'm actually going to stop you there for 1 second. Mr. Lally, is Kevin Albert a Commonwealth witness?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Now, bear in mind, Your Honor, that the Canton police were supposedly conflicted out of this case at that point.
So I want to know where that is in the record before me, because I think you know, as Massachusetts counsel, that the state police have jurisdiction over homicides, correct?
Oh, they do, yes.
So where is it in the record that they were conflicted out?
Those are in reports.
Yeah, it's
that,
really annoying.
the
I don't know where it's
prosecution
fed
provided
through.
to us.
Maybe
Mr. Lally
I have something
also
up.
told me that.
Don't have anything in the
orally
background.
Early on, and
Okay, so I need those reports. I need that reference.
okay, we're happy to provide that. Judge.
Okay, so I'd like it by tomorrow morning.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay.
You might
So
be picking
the
up the
Canton
TV in
police
the other
had
room.
a conflict precisely because Kevin Albert is an officer in their department. So how can they conduct an investigation which includes the brother of one of their officers? It stands to reason they can't. They appeared to recognize that. Yet Chief Berkowitz is talking to witnesses in this case, and Kevin Albert himself inserted himself into this case. Brian Albert testified to the federal grand jury about the fact that after Brian Albert received a federal grand jury subpoena, Kevin Albert contacted Brian Higgins. Kevin Albert said to Higgins, and I quote, "Look, you went off the grid and Brian doesn't understand. You haven't called him, you haven't checked in on him since these subpoenas go out. Everyone got a subpoena, but you." Those were Kevin Albert's words to Brian Higgins. And Your Honor, there's only one way to interpret that. Brian Albert was panicked that that Brian Higgins had flipped on him. Brian Albert enlists his Canton police officer brother to contact Higgins to try and find out if that was the case. And it wasn't just text messages between them. After first testifying that he didn't want to talk to Kevin Albert about the investigation, Brian Higgins later admitted that before he testified before the federal grand jury on June 1st of 2023, Higgins and Kevin Albert talked on the phone for a good 15 minutes. That was 2 days before he testified before the federal grand jury. Before he testifies to the feds, Brian Higgins is conferring with Kevin Albert who's supposedly conflicted out of the case. So, my goodness, with all the allegations of witness intimidation thrown around by this DA's office and special prosecutors they appoint, why has Kevin Albert never been investigated for witness intimidation? And for that matter, why has Brian Albert never been investigated? But as you ponder those questions, please realize, Your Honor, we're not asking for much here. We're only asking for relevant phone records. We're asking for contact between Kevin Albert and Higgins and Brian Albert. We're asking for contact that violates the self-recusal of the Scranton Police Department from this investigation. Contact which impeaches them, contact which is relevant to their motives in this case. It impeaches the investigation. We are entitled to explore whether this investigation was conducted correctly and ethically. And we're entitled to explore whether improper influence was put upon witnesses by the Alberts. Without this testimony,
This is
the federal
Canton, yes.
testimony from Higgins, and without the federal investigation, we never would have known of Kevin Albert's involvement here. But now we do. And the Commonwealth does. Why aren't they curious about what was said and why? They've announced an objection to this motion. Why are they fighting our quest to get exculpatory evidence? We
Right.
need this evidence, these
Do you have
phone
another
records
stream
in-
open, Baker?
Their stream up.
No,
Is it
it's
just
something
like-
that's fed in. Peter A said it's on every stream.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Somebody started like talking about
It sounds like they have a congressional hearing running in the background. I'm so sorry. It's really annoying because I'm trying to take notes. Senator Stabenow, yeah.
All right. Well,
No, C-Swift, it's not in your head. It's on the screen.
I was like, who's talking that loud in court?
admissible form. That's why we're filing this Rule 17 motion. We have more than met the requirements of Lampron. The records are relevant because they tend to show a cover-up. They are relevant because they show a Canton police officer inserting himself into a case in which his department was conflicted out precisely because he was an officer there. They're relevant because they impeach the credibility of Commonwealth witnesses who deny that they are a part of a conspiracy, yet the phone records tend to show they were conspiring together. We cannot get these records any other way. We cannot effectively prepare for trial without these witnesses.
So you testified as to their relevancy. How are they evidentiary?
They're evidentiary because they are both relevant and material, and if they're provided by the providers with an appropriate affidavit from a keeper of records, they're admissible. The Commonwealth could have gotten these records at any point, but they chose not to. And they have fought our efforts to get all phone records. Thank goodness another law enforcement agency stepped in and did the job that the DA's office should have done, but did not. We need these records. Going to trial without them would violate my client's rights to exculpatory evidence. It would violate her due process rights. And finally, to the extent that this court previously ruled that our requests for phone records were a fishing expedition, nobody can claim that anymore with a straight face. We now have testimony that these records exist, that calls exist, that text messages exist. As Mr. Lally said in the last hearing, phones do not lie. These phone records do not lie. We need them, and we ask the court to order them.
All right, it looks like you're asking the parties themselves to bring these in, though.
To the extent that they have them, that's accurate, Your Honor. We're also asking for their phone providers to
So
provide them as well.
they're two separately filed motions, right? And
Yes.
one of
Yeah.
them is with Mr. Berkowitz, or former Chief Berkowitz, but he's not on the other. So I saw them as two distinct motions, and the one that we just heard you on, is really asking them to deliver whatever records, right?
Correct. And I would note that the providers are on the second motion, except
But
for
that's three different people or one different person on this.
one different person. So we have Higgins and we have Brian Albert on the first motion. We have Higgins and we have Brian Albert on the second motion. The difference is Berkowitz versus Kevin Albert.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right. Mr. Lally, I'll hear from you, and then I do see Mr. Henning here. I don't know if he wants to speak or not, but I'm going to hear from Mr. Lally
Yeah,
now.
This
Hear it.
isn't the first time he asked for phone records. But
Oh, yeah.
earlier it was between Proctor and
Your Honor, just
McCabe.
very briefly with regard to this motion. With regard to the Rule 17 motion with request to records or communications from individual cell phones from April 1st of 2023 to the present day. Firstly, the Commonwealth would just indicate the facts as recited in the defendant's motion the Commonwealth would submit are largely inaccurate. It's injected with hyperbole, injected with conjecture. As for
It went away here too.
in regard to
Hopefully.
federal grand jury materials, which belie much of what counsel claims that they say. Essentially unsubstantiated conjecture,
his stupid
which is
I
directly
know.
contradicted
Yeah,
by the
and
testimony
he lost
the evidence
more
contained
since the
within
last
federal
case.
materials. Now, I
Oh, I
know that
bet.
the court has had those materials and
Bet his
has
hair's
carefully
falling out
reviewed
all
those
over the
materials,
place.
so I don't feel the need to go into each and every specific ground. However, what I would say, secondly, even assuming that everything contained within counsel's motion was true and accurate, the defendant's motion in this specific instance fails on two grounds.
Why?
Number one, what the Commonwealth would submit is that the time period that's being requested is far too overbroad for whatever collusion or whatever purportedly occurred, according to counsel, going from almost a year worth of communications from people who
Why? What are you trying to
admittedly
hide?
through
Yeah,
the
exactly.
testimony, through the evidence that was presented and has been
Yeah, I love he said there's nothing there, but the time they want to look at is way too long.
Oh, it's way too long. Way too long.
presented
There's
in
no way
both
they could have
forms, knew
possibly
each other well
tried to
and knew
cover
each
up
other well
a
before
ending of
any
a
of this
police officer
occurred, and
beyond that time
to
period. It's gotta
Nope.
be-
to associate
way.
and be friends following this incident. Secondly, the sort of last paragraph of
Nuts.
counsel's motion claims that the records are needed to establish the exact nature and extent. What the Commonwealth would submit is really what they are needed for from counsel's perspective is to establish the existence of these conversations and what the content of them were, which is the very epitome of a fishing expedition. And so for those two reasons, the Commonwealth would submit that the defendant has not met the standard under Lampron, and that motion should be denied.
All right, so I see Mr. Henning, so I don't know, do you want to be heard? Yeah,
Every
please come forward.
hearing
And I
where they
don't know
ask for
who
records, it's
counsel
fishing
is for
expeditions.
Mr. Higgins, but if he or she's, do you want to be heard as well, sir? Great, so I'll hear you after I hear from Mr. Henning.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
On behalf of Brian Albert, I just wanted to put three things on the record for the
Cameraman
court.
is
The first
awesome.
is, and I'm sure the court is aware, that the parties that are the subject of the Rule 17 motion have not actually received the motions. We got the cover page, we got the orders and the proposed orders, but we have not been able to review the actual memoranda because, at least according to the interpretation of the protective order, we're not entitled to see that content. And that
All right. I ruled that they were to be given because the federal proceeding is not to interfere with this court's proceedings.
I understand that, Your Honor, and I did receive the court's order, and I informed each of the respective counsel that I spoke to as far as what the court's order was. And I also understand that the court hasn't had the
O'Leary didn't give them the papers.
opportunity
didn't?
to review the federal protective order, but my interpretation of
How is
that
he still
order
employed?
simply would not permit dissemination of the material contained
How
within
is
the
this
memorandum.
cameraman still
No.
employed?
The Lampron protocol says shall. Doesn't that supersede a federal?
I'm sorry. I know I'm stopping now and again. How is this guy being paid by the taxpayers of New Hampshire? This is the second time we watched a hearing where he was ordered to give stuff to people, and he didn't do it.
He's dirty. He's dirty as hell.
He shall means you must. It's not, well, I interpreted it differently. This
And
is
how long
so.
ago did she rule on that? It was a while ago.
No, this is from the last.
Oh.
This is a new ruling.
I thought it was the one previous.
No, that's been released already.
God, this man.
Yeah, but I just make it up as I go.
Yep.
protective order. It's the law of the SJC. How can third-party record holders, the people who Rule 17 in the case law protects, not be able to go forward without it?
And I understand there's a direct contradiction there. And so out of an abundance of caution.
Okay, no, I understand you're following your order. I'm going to make it available.
Sorry,
Not a party
Massachusetts.
to any protective order.
Understood.
So we can take a recess. You can have them now. What do you all want to do? I mean, I didn't know that the Commonwealth was not complying with my order. I understand why you didn't, but I
Well,
didn't.
it's not
know
new
that.
news.
Um,
I'm happy to be heard
Like you
now,
didn't know.
and if the court will
Right?
allow us to review the motion and the memoranda, we
This is-
can
this is
amend
the
with the written
third
filing
time
if there's something that we
they
need.
don't
yes,
comply.
pursuant to a protective
Why
order.
doesn't she do
the way
anything?
we have them in the Massachusetts courts for Lampron Dwyer records.
Okay.
So
Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
yes,
Jamie doesn't have a channel. She's just the bestest co-hostess on the internet.
Yeah.
She is pretty awesome.
So is Val
Oh,
and
thanks.
Baker.
No, he has a channel.
No, I just mean you guys are cool. And they let me hang out with them, so
And why doesn't she sanction him? That's my big problem.
like
At least yell at him. At
I
least
didn't
like
Yeah.
know they weren't complying with my orders. Ma'am, you should have known.
Yeah,
You the whole time.
but she had a court clerk who didn't deliver
Your
stuff
Honor,
to
what I
them either.
think the counsel for the third parties would ask is that we are able to address the court today, but allow us an opportunity to review the memoranda and submit something in writing before the court makes an order.
sure. I'm just rereading the appendix on Dwyer, and it is a shall. So my view is that the SJC in Commonwealth versus Dwyer, the procedure that we're to follow allows certainly, and I say mandates, that the third-party record holders be given this information. So we will provide it when we take a recess today. I'll ask Mr. Clerk to make copies of what I have, not what the lawyers have. We need protective orders signed before you're given them. And I will have them given to all three record holders, or four if there's somebody here from Mr. Berkowitz. All right, I'll hear you.
Thank you. The first part of what I wanted to address is dovetails with what Your Honor is just addressing. The fact that we are third parties in this matter and do not have access to the materials that are in the subject of the discussion from the federal side of things makes us at a disadvantage here in front of the court. Obviously, we're going to remedy that, hopefully by being able to review it. But that notwithstanding, the fact that there is materials that we can't review that are being discussed in front of the court, even if we are able to see the memoranda, makes it difficult to address these. And I think for an issue of fairness, I want to make sure that the record's clear. If there are future motions, I want to preserve and not waive any argument as to the fairness of being able to access those records. So that would be the first point. The second point is, going into this, not having an opportunity to review the record, I do believe that the Rule 17 standard of relevance still needs to be met regardless of whether we get to see the material or not. So what I do want to offer to the court to consider as part of your determination here is that after receiving the notice from the Commonwealth last week, I contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office and I spoke to the lead prosecutor in the case.
Okay.
What I want to have the court know is that I have permission to notify the court that Brian Albert, his wife Nicole, his son Brian Jr., and Caitlin are not targets of the federal investigation. And I've been given permission to disclose that in open court.
Okay.
So I think it's important for the court to know that as you go into the motion that you're considering and the arguments from the defense. The third thing I would like to just ask the court is, notwithstanding everything that's just been said and reserving the right to file that written document later on, Brian Albert does not object to turning over the materials that are being requested. I understand that the Commonwealth may be having objections as to the Commonwealth's case, but Brian Albert does not have anything to hide. He does not have anything that he needs to prevent the court from seeing this material. And if the court does deem, after reviewing the material and having access to the federal records, that these are somehow relevant or that these are somehow admissible, and the court deems that Rule 17 has been satisfied,
Yes.
Brian Albert will comply with the court order.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Kevin Albert, present is Peter Paschuko, and on behalf of Brian Higgins is William Connolly.
Great. Thank you.
He has nothing to hide.
So Brian, Nicole, Julie, and who was the last one?
All right, so counsel, I need you to
Kevin
spell your name for me, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The last name is Connolly, Connolly.
And what's your first name?
William.
Thank you. All right, I will hear you on behalf of Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as the court is aware, Brian Higgins' phone records and communications are at issue in these motions. Brian Higgins is a federal ATF agent. He is a witness in the Commonwealth's prosecution of this case. He has cooperated fully in the Commonwealth's investigation. As this court knows, we've not had the benefit of seeing the factual support for these motions, but I want to provide some information that likely isn't contained within those materials submitted to the court, but of which I have a good faith basis to believe is information contained in the materials provided by the federal government to the parties in this case. I have represented Brian Higgins since April of 2023, the month when he received the federal grand jury subpoena. Like he has in this case, Brian has cooperated fully with the federal investigation. He has answered every question put to him in both investigations.
Keep in mind,
and he will
y'all, these are
continue
the
to
same
do so
detectives that
because he has nothing
in
to
an
hide.
interrogation room
Brian
would
Higgins
tell you
is not a
that if you
target
have
of the
nothing to
federal
hide, you don't need a
investigation.
lawyer.
That has been
You would
confirmed
just provide
by the United States
phone's
Attorney's Office and
information.
confirmed to me that I could make that representation in court. The U.S. Attorney's Office has continuously confirmed throughout its investigation that Brian Higgins is not a target of their investigation. Brian Higgins has not participated in any kind of a cover-up or conspiracy to cover up the criminal activity of others. Brian has spent his career saving lives. He was a firefighter before becoming an ATF agent. He has been an EMT since 1992. He received a congressional medal for saving the life of a fellow ATF task force officer after being shot 5 times in Somerville, Massachusetts.
He
has served our
was at the
military
party.
in Iraq. Participating in a cover-up is contrary to who he is as a human being and a professional. I am here to represent
No.
Brian's.
I don't know if
interests
that's a
and
true
privacy.
statement. The ATF has
Brian
covered a
Higgins,
couple
at my
things up
urging,
in their day.
Will not capitulate and
Doesn't
stand
need
down
to
when efforts are
lie.
made to further intrude upon his privacy based upon sheer
Y'all
speculation.
remember Ruby Ridge?
It is
I
for
do.
that reason that we oppose these motions, not because Brian Higgins has
Oh,
done something
God.
wrong or has anything to hide. We know this court will give us an opportunity to review the motions and supplement our remarks if we deem it necessary. We know this court will fairly weigh the arguments before it and will render a fair decision, and we will respect that decision and we will comply with that decision. Respectfully, we do not believe there is a sufficient factual basis to support the relief requested in the motions before the court. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Counsel?
But that's 5 people now who's not a target of the investigation.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Doctors.
Attorney Peter Paschuko on behalf of Kevin
All
Albert.
right, so you need to spell that last name
Sure,
for
it's
us.
P-A-S-C-I-U-C-C-O.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a little bit of background with respect to Mr. Albert, and we are objecting to this Rule 17 motion. Kevin Albert's a
matter.
19-and-a-half-year veteran of the Canton Police Department, extremely well-respected, extremely well-liked. Any insinuation that he participated in a conspiracy or a cover-up is simply untrue. There's been no showing how personal communications between my client and Mr. Higgins have any relevance here,
Lead
let
detective.
alone evidentiary value. Kevin Albert is not a Commonwealth witness. He did not testify in the federal grand jury, and his involvement is essentially zero. This is a clear intrusion, as Attorney Connolly indicated, into the privacy rights
I just
of
want
these
to know how many of
individuals.
them are going to go to prison.
And I've advised Kevin that there is simply no reason to acquiesce to something that's just clearly a fishing expedition. So upon my advice, Kevin Albert is objecting to this Rule 17 motion, but we will honor and respect the court's decision and appreciate the time to supplement any response in writing after we see the motion and affidavit, which hasn't been provided to us yet.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Mr. Yannetti, did you want to respond or no?
No, I would just move to the next motion if the court were ready.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next motion.
Oh, we're gonna go
Mr. Lally, you didn't want to
a
add
long time
anything, did
today.
you?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so this motion concerns Brian Albert, Kenneth Berkowitz, Brian Higgins.
Yes, and Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to start with Brian Higgins with regard to this motion.
All right, so Mr. Lally,
Camera guy.
you did not
Come
provide,
on, bro.
or you didn't comply with my order and providing the motions and supporting affidavits on this as well to the third party record holders and their lawyers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the council will receive copies of this as well and be permitted to argue now and supplement it. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. As I previously mentioned, Brian Higgins did testify before the federal grand jury. And at that time, he was specifically asked if on January 29th of 2022, he made any phone calls when he got home. He said that he did not. He testified that he lived alone. He testified that he was alone that night. He testified there was nobody else in his bedroom. He testified that when he went to bed, he placed his phone on the bedside table. After making those admissions, he was confronted by a federal prosecutor with his phone records. Those records revealed that Brian Albert called Brian Higgins at 2:22 in the morning on January 29.
Yep.
Those records reveal, moreover, that 17 seconds later, Brian Higgins called Brian Albert back, and that call lasted for 22 seconds. Now, when he was first confronted, Brian Higgins first tried to claim that it had to have been a butt dial. That term butt dial is used by many of the
How big's his
witnesses
butt?
to explain
Reaching the end
the many
table beside
calls
his
between
bed.
them and among them. And I've never seen a case where there've been so many butt dials, to be frank. But Mr. Higgins was already locked in. He already testified his phone was on the bedside table.
So that's
His
perjury.
butt was in the bed, the
Oh,
phone
yeah,
was
it
on the
is.
table. The two could not have met, Your Honor. There was no possibility of a butt dial.
There you
And
go.
then Higgins
Put in a
admitted
photograph of
that.
his butt as evidence.
And that wasn't Mr. Higgins leaving Brian Albert a voicemail. He also admitted under oath that the toll records would have reflected a voicemail if they went to voicemail. He admitted that to call Brian Albert back, he would have had to first reach for his phone, then unlock it with the passcode or Face ID. Then he would have to press on Brian
Get
Albert's
'em.
number. And that is exactly what he did. And he testified that that was what he did. He also testified that nobody from the Commonwealth, not Trooper Proctor, not ADA Lally, no one has ever asked him about that phone call from Brian Alberts to Higgins, or the return phone call from Higgins to Albert lasting 22 seconds. Rather than get everyone's phone records, as this court knows, the Commonwealth has fought the defense at every turn in our quest to get the phone records. They've persuaded this court that we were previously on a fishing expedition. To the extent the court once thought otherwise, it is clear this is no longer a fishing expedition. We do not have to go fishing to wonder anymore whether calls were made. We now know that someone who had been in that house when John O'Keefe arrived called the homeowner at 2:22 in the morning, 3.5 hours before John O'Keefe's body was found on the homeowner's lawn. We learned that neither party to that call ever revealed to police, investigators, or prosecutors that they connected by phone in those early morning hours. Just like Jennifer McCabe never revealed that at around the same time she was Googling, asking how long it took for someone to die in the cold, a search that the FBI confirms happened at 2:27 in the morning, again, about 3.5 hours before John O'Keefe's body was found. Now, for his part,
Yes.
Brian
does
Albert
seem-
also first tried to claim that his
It
phone
does seem
call to Brian
problematic.
Higgins at 2:22 in
Yeah,
the morning was a
that's
butt dial.
One
He said
one
that
is
he was awake
could
and
happen.
watching TV,
Three things.
but he was called back to the grand jury to testify a second time.
Seems
The
like you're doing it
second
for a
time,
reason at
Brian
3.
Albert changed his testimony to say that at 2:22 in the morning, he and his wife were in bed in an intimate situation. He claimed that he had his phone with him in the bed. So now he's claiming that it was during that intimate situation with his wife that he supposedly butt dialed Brian Higgins.
Oh, okay.
He had no explanation, however, for how his phone picked up when Higgins called him back 17 seconds
the
later.
throes of
He had
passion,
no
I often
explanation
call my
for the
buddies.
22-second phone conversation that followed. And it's worth noting that Higgins testified he never heard any intimate noises on the other end of the line either. Brian Albert tried to maintain that he butt dialed Higgins. But again, that
Put him
would
in
mean
prison.
that his butt also answered the phone when Higgins called back, and it doesn't make any sense. Both men denied talking to each other despite being confronted with
That
that
was
mountain of
such a
evidence by
dick.
federal prosecutors.
Oh, that's so
But it
good.
wasn't just the January 29th, 2022 calls between Higgins and Albert. Brian Higgins' phone records, we learned, revealed
That's a
that Canton
talented
Police
butt,
Chief
y'all.
Kenneth Berkowitz was involved in interacting with both men shortly after John
Doing all
O'Keefe's
kinds
body
of
was
shit.
found. And again, recall they're supposedly conflicted out of this case.
So I'm going to, there's just a question I have, and I'll let you continue, Mr. Yannetti, but regarding the dates. So the dates of the records you're seeking
January
for Brian
29th
Albert, so January 29th to February 4th.
or 4th, 4th or 5th, yes.
4th.
Fourth.
That's what you're
That's
seeking.
fine, that's fine.
And for Kenneth Berkowitz, January 29th to February 18th, and Brian Higgins, January 29th to February 18th. I need you to explain to me why those dates, why
Right, so-
February 4th and February 18th.
There was testimony in the federal grand jury that Berkowitz and Higgins were speaking to each other up through the 18th. With regard to Mr. Albert, we had evidence through the 5th.
All right, it's not entirely clear from the affidavit. Okay. All right, so go ahead. Thank you for answering that, and I'll hear you. Go ahead, continue.
Right. So as soon as John O'Keefe showed up deceased on Brian Albert's lawn, Canton Police decided it might not be a good idea for them to be involved in investigating this case. And by the way, I'm reminded when I sat down that District Attorney Morrissey announced that publicly. So we knew that early on.
Okay, so is that in his statement that I've had copies of?
It is not in the video statement that we moved to sanction him for. It was a previous statement that he issued.
All right, so get that to me, okay?
That's fine, Your Honor. So the question is, why was Chief Berkowitz inserting himself into this case almost immediately?
Good
United
question.
States Attorney Joshua Levy questioned Higgins about that in the federal grand jury. He summarized the phone records in their possession, records the feds have that we do not, records we're asking this court to order so that both parties in this case can review them. Mr. Levy directed a question to Mr. Higgins in the grand jury where he asked about all of the back and forth between him and Brian Albert and Chief Berkowitz. Quote, you have a 3-minute call from or with Berkowitz at 7:22 in the morning. This is on January 29th. Another call with him for, then you have a call with Brian Albert that afternoon for 12 minutes. Another call with him for 6 minutes. Another call for a minute. Then another call with Albert for 10 minutes. Then a call with Berkowitz for 4 minutes. Higgins spoke with Berkowitz on January 29th, someone who was conflicted out of the investigation 4 times. And then they spoke many additional times between January 29th and February 4.
But Higgins had nothing to do with the investigation, correct?
He was a witness in the investigation.
Okay, at that point,
We have a chief of police who's supposedly.
I'm sorry, I just need to, so at that point, you say he was a witness?
I'm sorry?
At that point, the point of the phone calls, he was a witness?
Yes, he was in the home, Your Honor.
Okay.
He was not spoken to by investigators yet.
Or
Clearly,
gifted
he's a
one
witness.
Goat Herder membership.
was at
Appreciate
the
you,
home
brother. Welcome
that
to
night.
Goat Herder, Rebecca G.
Now,
Thank you very
Recall
much.
that Chief Berkowitz supposedly found a piece of taillight on Brian Albert's lawn on February 4th. After that lawn had been searched by trained investigators and other police officers multiple times without finding it, but somehow Chief Berkowitz was able to spot that piece of taillight
Yeah.
while he was driving past the property from
Yep.
his moving vehicle. And the phone records show that Berkowitz called Higgins that
Got
very
them
day
eagle
to tell
eyes,
him about
y'all.
the discovery, and then Higgins calls Brian Albert to tell him. In a case where we are alleging as part of our defense that there is a third-party culprit, and at least some people are involved in a conspiracy to cover up the guilt of that third-party culprit or culprits. Contact between co-conspirators could not be more relevant. Before the feds got involved, we fought for this information, but we were largely unsuccessful. Although we never had to prove that the phone records actually contained evidence of the conspiracy. That's something we couldn't
And
do
he's
without having the
very
records
nearsighted.
themselves. This court has previously ruled that it was all too
Previously cited.
speculative. Not anymore. Not now. Not after we know that the records exist. Not after we know they
Karen
prove
Reed.
what we suspected that they would prove. We now know that those records will tell a story that could not be more relevant to this case and to our defense. And the problem, Your Honor, is we know the records are there. We have them in summary fashion, but we don't have them in admissible form. The feds have revealed that they exist, but they haven't released the actual records to us. They have them, we don't have them. That's why we're filing this Rule 17 motion. And again, we've more than met the requirements of Lampron. These records are relevant to our defense because they show suspicious contact between parties we allege to be in a conspiracy. They're relevant because they show the Canton police chief inserting himself into a case when it was previously determined that he was conflicted out. They are relevant because they impeach the credibility of Commonwealth witnesses who denied talking to each other, yet have no explanation for these records, which again, do not lie. We cannot get the records any other way. We cannot effectively prepare for trial without these records. The Commonwealth could have gotten them, but they chose not to. They fought our efforts to get them. But again, thank God, another law enforcement agency stepped in and did what the DA should have done. Going to trial without these records would violate my client's due process rights. And finally,
Absolutely.
to the extent that this court previously ruled that our requests were a fishing expedition, we can't maintain that now with a straight face. We now have the receipts. It's confirmed we were never on a fishing expedition. We were merely on an expedition to obtain relevant material and exculpatory evidence, and we're simply on a mission to defend our client. And I would ask the court to allow this motion.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Lally.
Preach.
It's a
So,
fishing
Your Honor,
expedition.
the
There's
Commonwealth
nothing
does not
there.
object to this motion. The only question or clarification that I'd ask for is there seems to be a discrepancy in the dates that I'm not really finding any support for within the context of the motion. So
So that's why I asked. So
my question was a different one as to the dates, though. So when it directed towards individual people, it's a time
think it's
period
both
beginning on
sides.
January 29th. When it's directed towards the cell phone carriers or providers, it begins with a period on January 28th, which is the day prior to anything occurring. So I'm not sure why anything on the 28th has any relevancy.
Got here just in
There's
time.
nothing in the motion that I can glean that indicates that. I don't know if it's a Scrivener's error or if there's some other reason for that period for those
He's
providers
very
to
red
be
in the head
starting
today.
a day early.
what do you say about that, Mr.
Yeah, his
Unity?
blood
Your
pressure is probably a
affidavit
little
says the
high.
29th.
Right. I would orally amend that to the 29th, Your Honor. We're fine with that.
All right.
Mm.
I'm going to hear from the third party counsel if they want to be heard.
Your Honor, if I may, just one
Sure.
further thing. I did speak with counsel, it's
That's
attorney
funny.
Kenneth Anderson, who represents Mr. Berkowitz. There's no objection on behalf of his client.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Mr. Conley?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, well, with respect to our general arguments, we'll just rest on I'll rest on what I said previously. And we respect the parties' positions. I just want to point out one thing with respect to the factual assertion. I don't
Out on
have the privilege of seeing
$80,000
the grand
bond.
jury testimony. But I can represent to the court that before my client ever testified at the grand jury, he voluntarily appeared for an interview with the U.S. Attorney's Office. I attended that interview, and at that interview, he volunteered to the U.S. Attorney's Office that that morning he spoke to both Albert and Berkowitz.
He's
was
in
not
law
asked and did
enforcement.
not
He
give a
has
rundown
to.
of how
If
many
he
times,
refuses
but
that
he
interview,
acknowledged long
then
So,
he's gonna
so
get
why
fired.
isn't that
jury that he
why
did
isn't that
speak over on
public
day. I don't
knowledge?
think that impacts the substance of the
Why
argument.
haven't he come forward and said, "Oh, by the
Okay,
way,
so just so I'm clear,
Right.
there's a lot
the
of talk about
Commonwealth
me.
hasn't
I
objected
talked to them."
to these records for that period of time that appears to be relevant
Yeah,
time period.
and so I will waive argument on that, Your Honor.
All right, and does counsel object to these records? Mr. Henning on behalf of Brian Albert, all right, and counsel on behalf of, oh, that doesn't concern you. Okay. All right. Thank you.
think he's, trying to be the
Defendant
next,
filed, Ms. Giannetti, you filed a
Wars.
motion that I just got as I was walking out here.
Right, we're not asking to be heard on that motion. I had alerted your clerk that it would be coming. It's filed with a motion to impound as well. I figured I would hand deliver it today.
Okay,
The
great.
Commonwealth just got it today, so they'll need time to assess that.
All right, so today, all pre-trial, non-evidentiary motions have to be filed pursuant to
Yes.
the order.
Yes.
All right, so this is it? This is
No,
what the,
I expect by the end of the business today, the court will be receiving a motion to dismiss to be heard next week as well.
all right, and you can't be here next week.
I cannot, and on that point, Your Honor, I think the court probably was alerted that we filed a second motion to admit counsel from California, Pro Hoc Vice. I don't know that it's necessary, but
I'm glad you filed it because I think it is if you're not here and you have to
Well,
be here
that's
for
why we
that.
did.
So
that's why we did that, so.
Ms. Yannetti I'll allow that motion now that you have filed your appearance.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, so you expect that there will be more motions coming today?
I expect there'll be one additional motion coming today.
All right. Does the Commonwealth have anything that it expects to be filing by the end of today?
Your Honor, just filed a motion for reciprocal discovery. I'm not asking for any action on it, but I believe that would be it.
Okay, and I
They,
have one
they
question.
should give
Are we
you
all
what you
done
want.
with Bodie Labs?
Right?
Have you received the
What,
information
what they
from them?
find.
So on one part of the testing, yes.
Okay.
On the second piece of the testing, no.
All right, so
He is awful red today.
What the? They are still not done with the lab. The first stream we did together, Valhalla, was
How?
the second hearing I watched. That's 7 months ago. They would be done in a very short period.
How is that possible?
They
How could it possibly be 7 months behind?
well, because he never contacted them after he said he contacted them. We heard that in the January hearing.
to report on that orally on Tuesday,
Sure.
where we are with that. All right, great. I'll see everyone Tuesday. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
26, 9 a.m. hearing on all pretrial non-evidentiary motions.
All right.
Okay.
I'd put a motion to
Brian, we
dismiss
have a
in every
3
single
o'clock
hearing.
list.
Yeah.
Every single hearing.
Okay, thank you.
You are muted.
I'm not.
Somebody butt dialed a mute.
But
No, the Duarte one, attorney can't, she asked for Zoom, but now she can't do it. So we're in good shape.
what?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See ya.
That was weird.
Yeah. Oh, they've learned that they have to push it down so it doesn't pick up like it did some times ago. She is skinny. There's not much woman there.
Oh, I mean, Jesus, going through hell.
Ooh, she's trying to talk quiet.
Yeah. And it sounded like Lorne and Krim turned up the
mics.
I can't remember what. Yeah, so they could hear it. See you later, Jackpot.
Later, Jackpot.
Hi.
Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. No kidding.
But yeah, that lady, she no good. Just gonna keep it running in the background if they talk outside.
I can't believe they didn't put in a motion to dismiss today.
He said we were gonna file that later.
By the end of the day for next week.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But what did we learn today? We learned that the lab still hasn't done the work he ordered them to do 7 months ago.
And we know that the prosecutor hasn't complied with the orders from the judge.
No, because he read it and it said shall. Shall means, yeah, if you want to.
Whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, just do it. But Process didn't have any comment about the internal reviews or the papers from the internal investigation on him. I find that's fascinating. Maybe because he's being searched by the feds right now.
Right.
And did I get it right? Kevin Albert contacted Higgins. Why he didn't contact Brian Albert after they were summoned to the grand jury?
That's what I heard.
And he wouldn't talk to him. There's been a lot of talk about Turtle Boy had a piece of paper saying Higgins flipped. I haven't seen any evidence of it. Today didn't seem like he was that flippity-floppity. He was fighting it. Oh, Lynn. Well, I'm trying to give an update of the main points, so if you want to do it. In law school, you were taught the difference between shall and may. Yeah, in Danish law, there was a big kerfuffle some years back because our deportation law said that you could, whenever possible, deport people. That was changed to shall. That made a lot of problems. So now you have to have a preponderance of the evidence that you can't deport them. Back then, it was just like, yeah, maybe we'll be fighting with the EU, so we won't go anywhere with that. So yeah, shall and may is two very different things.
Yeah, that's pretty basic.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, seems like it. We're just going to keep it in the background as a press conference outside. Well, Higgins, why didn't you call Brian? And Kevin Albert, because he was a Canton police officer, was conflicted out of it. And then they asked, why wasn't they investigated on witness intimidation if they kept calling Higgins?
Well, they were busy arresting Turtle Boy for witness intimidation. They
Right.
can't possibly have arrested all of the people intimidating witnesses.
Yeah. Nothing changed. Just a hearing today.
They haven't changed.
And then,
I don't think
then
it
they
will.
asked for
This
the
can't
phone
go to
records.
trial. This can't.
No.
I mean, it shouldn't, but I don't think Bev is gonna rule dismissal.
Billy Keith was here asking if there was an interpreter, and I said, I know Martha will be here.
Talking about an interpreter.
Yeah.
What was the next thing? There's nothing in the records according to the state. But even though there's nothing, the time period they wanted was too long. And it's just a fishing expedition. And Albert's lawyer said they never got the papers because of the protective order, and Lally didn't give it to them, even if he was ordered to. And then Brian, Nicole, Julie, and Junior Albert is not part of the federal investigation, will turn over what they are asked for. Higgins from the ATF, he is a witness for the Commonwealth because he was at the house, cooperate fully, not a target in the federal investigation, haven't covered anything up, is objecting to them looking at his phone records. Kevin Albert, not a witness, didn't testify, and and is objecting because it's a fishing expedition. And then we came to the funny thing. Those phone calls with the bots. Someone has been doing their squats.
Oh yeah, watching Megan Fox do squats.
They heard you.
Apparently, they didn't
Yeah.
like that tone.
Feisty. Yeah.
So yeah, because apparently there were 2 phone calls at 2:22. That's right before Hos Long to die in cold.
Yeah. So he's
Almost-
saying he was already home at that time.
He was at his home. Both of them were home.
Yeah.
But he said, I was home alone. I was sleeping. My phone was on the side table.
Yep.
But he answered the call for 17 seconds and called back and talked for 22 seconds. And he lied about it to the grand jury.
That's a problem.
Well,
though.
Where are the perjury charges? Kayla Montgomery got perjury charges on that one.
Yeah, she went to prison.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was it Brian Albert
wait.
and
That was Higgins and Albert. So if
yeah, Higgins and Albert were the 2 people who called each other and was allowed by Morrissey to destroy their phones, even as there was an order to preserve.
so did they?
Yeah, they destroyed the phones. Yeah, they didn't preserve their phones as ordered. So
That's very suspicious.
yeah, but when the grand jury said, "Well, buddy, we have your phone records," he said, "Well, oh yeah, I called him. He was never asked about it by the police. Never told anything about the call to anyone." And just like Jennifer McCabe never told anyone why she searched in the middle of the night, because they lied about that too and said there was a tab where she looked at her daughter's basketball tournament.
Yep.
So, and then because that tab was open when she used it again in the morning, it backdated the search. But we know that didn't happen. And Kevin Albert, it was an accident because he was having smexy times with his wife.
Yeah.
It's just out of control, poking everything in the room.
Yeah, I was drunk. I was just hitting everything.
Like how stupid people
Brandy
are.
Churchwell did a really great rundown on Cellbrite.
She's coming back for a Lego stream soon.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I think on the Saturday before Mother's Day or something.
Yeah, that was the state explanation from the state expert, was because she had opened. She has used what do you call it? A tab? Yeah, she's used a tab which she already used earlier when she had to look up her daughter's volleyball tournament. It put it in as that search term.
It didn't make any sense.
No, it
Didn't
makes
make any sense.
absolutely not.
And if she's explaining that, like, she's a real tech, like, I'm sure. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, Viking Raiders.
What's up, Nicholas?
And yeah, so again, that makes absolutely no sense that she could have used that. And we know from the last hearing, the feds now say, the search did happen at 2:27. This phone call was at 2:22. Hey, Nick. Hope no one fell asleep today. But again, I want to know how he accidentally called someone doing smex.
Yes.
And then the other person's butt picked it up. So, you know, a lot of I like that little like line he said. Whatever.
Yeah, that was yeah.
That
And
was
if
good.
the state attorney made that argument in court, he needs to be referred to the bar. He knows that argument was a lie. Well, he didn't turn over evidence that clearly said shall. So I think, and he wasn't admonished. He just sounded like my mom used to do when I said, "No, I'm not drunk."
Yeah, well,
So but they wanted the phone records from January 29th to the 4th of February for Kevin Albert and Brian Higgins and Berkowitz, the 29th of January to the 18th of February. And then we have Berkowitz, Chief Berkowitz, who self-inserted him after they conflicted out. That's weird.
mhm.
That seems like it might be illegal.
Yeah, at least it should. Yeah, maybe his dong called the other guy's butt.
It's a dong to butt connection over there.
Oh, of course they were there to try and get Aiden to prison. Yeah, but this trial should never again. And I know it's just the defense putting out their claims, but now we have the feds saying, yes, there is this problem, this problem. We have people lying to the grand jury about phone calls, being corrected and said, no, we have your phone records. We know you called someone. Oh, yeah, my butt called. You said it was on the side table. Yeah, but I totally maybe just called him a little bit.
Oh, that's my wife. She was there. Now she's there all of a sudden too. Okay, guy.
Must have been a butt call. Like, how stupid do you think people are?
They're desperate. They're in cling to anything they can mode right now. Too many people are paying attention to this. It's too obvious. They're all going to prison. They're all going to prison.
But the biggest effing problem we have is Bev is gonna rule something totally nonsensical and say, well, kind of maybe it was a problem, but not really. It was just something that happened. And that's a big effing problem that Massachusetts. Why do I always say New Hampshire? Because someone yelled at me in my chat one day and said, you're a grifter because you said New Hampshire.
Oh, God.
And again, Berkowitz, the guy who, after the scene was cleared, they had been there. They had walked around with leaf blowers, cleaning the snow off the scene. He found taillight pieces. When he drove by a side street, there's no real reason he went down that side street. He couldn't tell you why he went down there. But he saw pieces of tail light on a lawn where people, I'm calling BS.
Where people had already been looking.
Yeah.
The snowplow driver drove past that night and said he never saw anybody laying on the side of the road.
He saw a car parked where John O'Keefe would have found that morning.
There's so many glaring, obvious bullshit holes to this case.
How about the injuries to the man?
Right?
They don't even make sense.
That car hitting him in the arm sure looks a lot like a dog bite. Just saying.
Yeah, and I'm
Just
glad.
saying.
No, don't say that. Alpha Fox will come in here and yell at me again. He yelled another beer.
You're right. That's clearly the mark from the bumper of a car somehow.
She was able to hit him with just her taillight perfectly on the back of his head and not mark up any part of his body. He doesn't have any bruising from like the neck down of being hit by a car. That's pretty good if you ask me.
Well,
sharpshooter with the car.
Exactly. She was on point.
It was someone on Twitter because I said New Hampshire instead of Massachusetts. Don't worry about it. I'm being called a grifter a lot because, as you can clearly see, I'm grifting my own merch line right here. You can find it on Springstall.
Nice.
I'm a grifter now.
That a boy.
Yeah.
That a boy.
I forgot to put that one on. I was just. Can I find that picture? Oh, that was Courtney Clenny. That wasn't the picture I was looking for. Well, I have to have some pictures from Courtney Clenny because I might cover that trial. That's solely the reason I have pictures of Courtney Clenny on my computer.
Sure.
But let me just again. Clear
Yep.
stay.
Clearly, a car did that.
No. These are the blunt force abrasions.
Yeah.
But
That's
It's so
obviously
many
from a car. Obviously.
how did a car do that without running him over and smashing all of his bones?
How
How did-
ridiculous. How absolutely ridiculous.
What part of the car did that without
The
running?
car's teeth.
Yeah.
That was the car's
The
teeth.
razors she had out on around her car, like razor blades?
Oh.
C-Swerve lives in Canada. They have the White Shark upgrade to the Lexus up there.
Oh, yeah. It makes
Don't
sense.
forget, y'all, they got rid of the dog shortly after this. The dog can't be found. It's gone forever.
It's
Nobody
just,
knows where it's at.
and
They
it's
live on
known
a
to
farm.
attack people, so they had to get rid of it. That was the claim.
Oh.
Sue, thank you for being a member for 4 months. I must grift more. Yeah, I should grift more. Maybe I should do a long grift stream. Yeah, and calling it an abrasion. I know an abrasion can make holes in the skin, but this wouldn't be an abrasion. Oh, well, I can't say that because then he will yell at me again today. But this is a laceration in my. You can call
puncture holes.
stuff like this. Can you call? I would call that an abrasion. That is an abrasion. This. If you want to call it blunt force trauma, is lacerations. Because
Puncture
it's deep
wounds.
gouging of the skin.
About the length of a dog tooth, roughly.
Yeah.
If I were to guess by looking at it.
But now we're talking blunt force trauma. What is lacking around all of this scarring? What we have
Bruising.
up here on the upper arm,
Bruising.
the subdermal bleeding.
You need
Why,
those for impact. You need those for impact.
Because if they call it blunt force trauma, there should be subdermal bleeding.
I cannot wait to hear a doctor explain this.
Oh, it'll be amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, Stacy, this and this to me looks like puncture marks, but I am wrong, Alpha Dog. I'm wrong, totally wrong.
But
He's been he wrote me again that he never stalked me, and I'm sorry I said that word. Maybe not everything I say is literally. Only that Jamie is the meanest person behind the scenes is literally correct.
She does yell a lot.
guys,
Deort gifted another Valhalla Waits membership. Welcome to Goat Herders, Jess Rubery. Now you get cool emojis. Thank you, Deort. You're the shit, bro.
And he's an Ultima, I could
yeah,
believe.
he's an Ultima.
Yeah, or dog bite expert of some kind. Maybe like the one Melissa from I can't remember the name of her channel.
Melanie.
Yeah, as
Attorney
I said, Melanie.
Yeah.
Melanie Little.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melanie Litton. Yeah, she had a dog bite, a dog trainer who said, that's if I ever seen something, I've seen dog bites.
And he showed a few examples, and it looked exactly like it. So.
Yeah,
Weird.
but
Weird.
I can clearly see the Lexus imprint on his forehead.
I mean, that's my only question is, okay, then where did they come from? Like, what part of the car did these perfect little scratches on his arms?
Yeah, I don't know, because again, we're sitting here. Yeah, that's what I said in my video I did yesterday, and then he came in again and yelled at me. Please listen to Zach, Jamie.
Please. Please.
Zach, stop. egging them on.
I have PTSD from Iraq.
Yeah.
You're triggering me.
I thought Zach
Yeah.
was. I when Zach started coming around, I told him that I didn't know about him and I thought he was mean, but he's not mean.
No, he's hilarious.
No, he's being funny.
No, this guy on the table is the deceased. The guy who were Iraq veteran was the
ATF agent.
Oh, Jude Curio.
Jude Curio gifted 10 memberships, but they haven't popped up yet, so I can't welcome everybody in. But thank you, Jude, for gifting 10 memberships, and whenever they go out to you people, you'll have cool emojis. Thank you so much, Jude. I don't understand why it's not popping up, though.
What did I do now? I don't know. She's always yelling at me, too. That can't be Valhalla. It's too early in the morning.
I was late.
Look like that dog scratches from nails. I get that when I play rough with my dog. Yeah, but they look a little deep just to be scratches.
It looks like teeth down here. It looks like he clamped onto his elbow.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
What I see is it chewed on because you have the defensive wound, and then you have the long claw marks. In my opinion, but I'm not a doctor.
And if memory serves, it was a German Shepherd that failed out of police training, right? Because it was too aggressive towards people or something.
And after this absolutely wasn't a dog attack, had 2 other fighting incidents.
Yeah, according to them, it had bitten other people before, and that was kind of the reason why they had to rehome the dog.
Rehome.
But they rehomed it, and they have no idea.
No idea where it went. Can't find the dog for any kind of testing or.
You better believe if I'm rehoming a dog I've had for like 7 years, I'm gonna know where it went.
Yeah.
If I had a dog that aggressive, like I wouldn't be okay with giving that to somebody else. Like the husband in the house and the kid in the house, they're both like men, right? They're not like little dudes. They're not, the one's a cop, the other one's a cop's son. Right.
Yeah,
they're used to being physical and authoritative. He should have been able to handle that dog. I would never give an aggressive dog to somebody else and put somebody else in danger like that. It's horseshit. Dora stole the dog, fed it to Fluffy.
Very good point, Valhalla.
Yeah, Stacy, that's what I see too. It's not the best resolution I have in that picture because I took it off a screenshot, but still, to me, you have that kind of droplet form that could indicate an impact and then a tear. But I don't know. But looking at what we have now, we have the feds saying there were those searches that they claimed never happened. You have the phone contacts between everyone who wasn't supposed to contact each other. You have Proctor, who is clearly lying about his involvement with the McCains, the Alberts and the McCains. Now I can't remember the names.
McCabe, Alberts.
McCabe and the Alberts, yeah. You had that meeting they had at his house when he interviewed her. You have him finding evidence all over everywhere, and none of it, you don't have a chain of custody to anything. You have Morrissey, the DA, going out saying, we have her on ring camera hitting him.
Oh my
that
God.
has never been provided. They never look for it. You have the missing minutes on the library video.
The house directly across the street from where this incident took place had a ring camera, but it just so happened to be like the former police chief or something ridiculous. And that camera has never managed to surface.
Nope.
Yeah,
no video.
Proctor knew when McAlbert got his ring cameras because it was a Christmas gift. That's why they weren't connected. But they were up. We have Karen Reed hitting John's car on her ring camera. And then they're going, well, 17 incidents were deleted on his ring camera. Yeah, but look in the driveway. no one had been driving in that driveway before she left the house.
Nope.
Now we have constant contact with people who should be professional enough to say, we're conflicted out of this case. We don't talk.
That,
You
but
have
they
a guy
couldn't cover
called-
it up then.
No, but again, I'm looking at all the stuff that we heard so far, and you have evidence of one guy calling another guy saying, why didn't you talk to him after you got your subpoena? That clearly smells like a rat had died somewhere in that house. How do you go on with this case? And now, oh yeah, you forgot. You have Lally who doesn't give the motions to the people he shall give them to.
Mhm.
How
Not
can
may, not might,
Good conscience
shall.
go on.
Not to change the subject, but those 10 gifted memberships just came through. Thank you, Jude Curio again. Welsh Lady Reeds, Half Irish, Lord Bynum, Cecilia Royce, Dawn Wittenhagen, Cindy Yarrison Bailey, Teresa Elliott, Carolyn, Melissa Joy, and Shirley Montoya. Welcome to Goat Herders, y'all. Thank you so much, Jude. And y'all have cool emojis now. Awesome. There's more too. Like, these are just the basic things we know so far. There's a federal investigation now that's taking place, and clearly they're pinpointing the opposite people of this situation, right? They're looking at the proctor and the rest of them.
Yeah, federal investigation on the investigation. Then Proctor is getting investigated by Internal Affairs.
That's the one good thing that's happening right now is the feds got involved, and that shouldn't be able to just disappear now, right? Now that the feds are looking into things, there should be results.
Yeah. Especially because when we heard about the feds are coming in, yeah, that's fine. The feds are everywhere. But then the last hearing, when they dropped those bombshells, and I think it's a bombshell that they have clear evidence of Proctor lying about his involvement with the families. How didn't Lally turn around, give her a shake of hands, and say, my bad, see you later?
The fact that they haven't dismissed this yet is disturbing. The fact that Lolly hasn't been like, maybe we should just drop these charges.
Yeah.
Right?
It lasted an hour, Dave, so you're a little late. But it's good. You should go back and watch it. Yeah, all over the place. And again, you had it again today, and it's just drip drop coming. And you know there's more there because they said because of the protective order, we can't talk about it. No, that I know Morrissey won't let Lally dismiss it, and that's why Lally looks like he gained 20 pounds.
He's looking rough, man.
His blood pressure is shot to shit.
He's looking rough.
And he has lost more hair than Dave and MG combined.
But not that. The judge ultimately has to make the decision, and I don't think she wants to make that decision. I think she wants to have a jury make that decision. You know, by finding her not guilty, that would be the end of it, you know.
Well, the longer this goes, though, the more evidence the feds are going to collect, right? The more corruption we're going to see the longer this goes. So I guess in a way, it'll be a good thing in the end, hopefully, because it'll round up all these douchebags out there that think they're Billy badasses with a badge.
I hope.
Yeah, and as Jeffrey says, feds will get someone. Someone's going to go down, and it looks like it's going to be Proctor.
It needs to be more than just Proctor, in my humble opinion.
Oh, he smokes like a chimney outside of court too. He is stressed. You could see that picture where he left the courtroom from not the previous, but the hearing before that, where he just turned the corner, the one where he let the female attorney speak the entire time. He looked like he was going straight to an ass-kicking session. And today, how much have Beverly told him, get your together? It seems like she's so tired of him. And she was really nice today again. Not like the other times. Hey, little D.
Jude, you're in the Jude, you're in Baker's chat. It shows it on the top of mine. I was confused for a minute. I figured it out. They came out. I said everybody's name. It's on the top of my chat. I see it. Thank you so much. You were in Baker's chat. You got confused. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, these dual streams can get a little confusing. But thank you for being in both chats. It helps with the views.
Absolutely.
But again, this is when I saw that absolutely not a dog bite picture the first time. I thought
not a dog bite.
I thought this case was kind of weird. And I think you came on with the second hearing we covered.
I think so.
And we were just gobsmacked that this went on. They have had 4 hearings since then, and they still don't have the lab results ordered in 7 months ago. They had a hearing in February where he said they had evidence that he didn't contact the lab as he promised. Lally is absolutely stalling. And why? I don't get the why, because now the feds are there. I would get that S out of there as fast as possible.
I don't think they have anything. I don't think they have shit to show. They're just, I feel like they're I don't know. I feel like they're just dragging their feet because they're just hoping something will come up.
Well, they've changed their theory of the case. God knows how many times at this point. Every time a new piece of evidence gets brought forth, they change how it happened to fit the new narrative. Now it's gotten to the point where it's so convoluted and so ridiculous. Nobody in their right mind would possibly believe that this is happening the way it is. It's like being laid out. There's no way. There's just no way.
Yeah, and logic is my favorite pastime. Present and future.
Oh, that's awesome. Jude Curio gifted 10 more Valhalla Awaits memberships. You're awesome. Welcome to Goat Herders, y'all. Norma Stevens is the only name I see that's popped up so far.
Everyone is already a member of Valhalla. But just to show how much this has changed, as I said in the beginning, we were like 3 live streamers back when it started. I just hit the live. I'm not seeing everything, but I'm seeing what YouTube recommends to me. You have Brandy Churchwell with 550 people watching. You have Eternally Madeline Little, 2,000 people watching. You have Yellow College Tales. Yeah, that's fine. 110 people. Truth and Transparency, 84 people watching. You have me and Valhalla, we have 266 combined. So that's roughly 3,000 people I can see who is sitting here watching a hearing.
When that doesn't even count Court TV and Law and Cuck.
No, and it doesn't count. I know TB is having with the Clara and LTL. I can't see that one here.
And Tom CPU had 1,500 people in his chat before the hearing started.
Yeah. So let's just say at least 20,000 people have all around. Some is just watching it on Law and Crime. Others are watching it with commentary. 20,000 people sitting here. Yeah, TB had close to 3,000. So let's say roughly 20,000 people were live watching this and sitting there. Some of them will sit there and say, yeah, she clearly did it because she was drunk and she hated him and she kissed another guy in a garage. Love you, Grant. You're my favorite idiot. But other people will sit there and say, that makes absolutely no sense. I'm a Midwestern Taco Bell worker, and I can see this doesn't make any sense. Why are they still doing this? Thank you for being a member for 2 months, and thank you. Yeah, this case is very interesting.
It's gross. It's disgusting.
Hey, Vicky Oldham.
Hi, Vicky.
New Zealand, Kiwi, New Zealand. The planet is watching. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. The Welsh guy, I can't see him because I don't know if he's still streaming it, but you have me, an idiot from Denmark. You have a Welsh guy. You have all over the US, and we have people watching from New Zealand to Massachusetts and all the places in between on the flat planet. This case is kind of small scale turning into the new JDAH case. Every streamer is looking at it and saying, "This doesn't make sense. Let me talk about it."
It's blatantly obvious with this one. Sometimes you got to, it needs a little wiggle to really be for sure. But this one, it's glaring.
No, he's just the biggest idiot I know. Well, bye, Jamie.
Bye, Jamie. She's
You're
going to
the
yell at us.
ultimate sandwich maker. Well, you should show us. All over the disc. Correct. Hello to 3,000 peeps. Well, we don't have 3,000. We're small channels. We only have 260 people watching. That's great.
I'm not upset by it. I'm amazed that people watch us at all sometimes.
Yeah, with all these big names, it's just because we have Jamie.
There they go, Jude. So the rest of my gifted memberships went to Jesse McClaverty, Eyes Wide Open, Robin Baskin. Ooh, I wonder if she's related to Carol. Squishy, Chris Clement, Debbie Rowe, King Paco, Lurking Around, and Connie McCoon. Welcome, y'all. You get emojis. You can put Fluffy in chat. Like that.
Yeah, but Zach's case didn't have that that coverage. The people covering it was mostly Dave. Other than Dave, who else really streamed the Zachariah Anderson? It got big after. This has been big or growing the entire time. In the beginning, we had Boston 25 to steal the live feed. Today, both the big crime channels had it on. Thank you, Donati, for the super sticker of...
Yeah, Legal Vices streamed it. He was streaming Zachariah Anderson, too.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. But still, that was... Vices is a big channel, but again, you have way more people interested in this case, and whenever you make a video, people shows up and talk about it. You have 3 or 4 dedicated channels that doesn't do anything but talk about this trial. Because
the people outside of the courthouse are a good touch. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's so funny. Whenever we see them, I sit there and think, there's no one. Well, of course they yell at Grant sometimes, but there's no mean people out there. It's always the other side that's mean, that's calling people stupid names, and I think it's kind of because they know that it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just, I hope he got on camera who broke his phone.
He did.
Oh, I heard. Oh my God, I'm so annoyed.
He did. The whole thing was on camera.
Lady Tammy has a birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh, we have a tradition on this. Well, she's not on my stream, so I won't do the full speak. I'll just do this.
Baker and Valhalla Awaits are some of my favorite YouTubers. Please go support their channel. This is Lynette, and I support this message.
Yes.
Aww.
Happy birthday to you. It's the worst rendition of Happy Birthday I ever heard.
It wasn't a good one. I'll give you that. It wasn't. It was.
It was the only one I could find on the free stuff on YouTube. So normally I just do a little smexy talk over it.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Yeah, go check out DJ Raditz if you want
Hell
fun
yeah.
little music videos.
He made one of me the other day. Me and about Lego. It's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good.
You've seen some lawyers that have hundreds of thousands, even close to over 1 million subs, but aren't. Well, LawTube isn't a thing. It's a
genre.
Yeah, it's the same. Mo kind of dubbed us for LayTube because we don't know the law.
LayTube, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, but I still don't get a paycheck. Jamie takes all my money and makes me pay for the privilege of streaming. So
Jamie's running us all like like Brandon Tate or whatever the hell, Andrew Tate.
Yeah. Please, sir, can I have some more? No.
She makes us sit in front of our computers hours every day, paid all the bills.
And I lost that. She probably lost connection again and can't hear us. Glad Baker said to Clara, I always forget his favorite creator's channel name. Old Baby Gap. I don't know that name. Stuck her phone in front of his. He said, tap it. He tapped her phone. She slammed his phone, knocked it to the ground. Yeah. Well, go press charges because these people are getting ridiculous. It's
well, they're getting, like I said earlier, they're getting desperate. Now they're getting panicky, right? So now they're starting to lash out. They're a bunch of them are going to prison. A bunch of them are gonna go to prison.
Hopefully. Because this is injustice. Cornered animals.
Exactly, Stephen. Exactly.
But in the beginning, when they had the upper hand, before we heard, when I started watching this trial, I didn't know any Turtle Boy. I didn't know anything. I just watched a hearing, and then I went on Twitter and looked up Karen Read, and the amount of hatred. And I know, Christine, I said yes the last time when you said April 16. I said yes, we're going forward as planned. But when I started looking into Twitter about it, you had so many nasty people about her, and F all of you who believe she is innocent. And I thought, well, show me the evidence, because when I read the affidavit, when I look at the evidence, it kind of paints a picture that she didn't do it, because nothing lines up and no technical evidence kind of matches anything. And again, I have 12 years experience as a juror. I've seen people hit by cars, seen people run over by cars. I've seen people hit by blunt instruments, and none of it makes sense. With the autopsy photos, they are in my Discord if you want to see it. He has a small gash in the back of his head. He has a small cut to the right top of the right eye, maybe below the left, or can't remember. He had 2 black eyes. He has skull fractures, and then he has the blunt force trauma to the arm.
Almost like he got stomped out while a dog was chewing on his arm.
Kind of like the dog. Him and someone got in a fight, and the dog took him. And I'm not saying someone killed him. I'm saying that fighting with the dog, he yanked his arm, fell down, hit a stair. Could just as easily be that.
It's more easily that than the crazy 5-point James Bond maneuver she had to do with her car to make the state's story work.
Well, those fighter fractures aren't in the ME's report. So, because I saw them, I saw that mentioned too, and then I looked it up again, and now I can't find it. So, yeah. Yeah, you can. No one can believe this. But again, just to get away from all the 25 people need to discover and not. What we just need is reasonable doubt she didn't do it. Let's put all the rest of it aside. Chloe grabs his arm. He yanks his arm back, falls down the stair, hits a coffee table, bangs into the side of a door. Something gets knocked out, pukes because he got a skull fracture. It can happen really, really easily. You don't have need someone to jump on your skull. You can just fall. It happens. We have all heard about those guys who just got that lucky punch. He gets up. He is punch drunk and said, "F you guys, F that dog, I'm leaving." That's why he doesn't have his coat on, because he's punch drunk, just leaves. And they say, "Yeah, F you, man." He goes out, falls over, ends up in the snow. That story...
It's more likely than the 3-point turn at 60 miles an hour or whatever the hell it had to be in the snow.
Yeah, and that's and again, yeah, the pictures doesn't add up with an auto. Absolutely not. And you don't have to go and point the finger of 20 other people to make reasonable doubt. And that's what I'm saying. How can these people not see there's so much reasonable doubt? And then you put in the phone calls. Then you put in the family connection. Then you put in all the magical evidence showing up at every place. No one knows how the phone got from the scene of the crime to Proctor's hands. He took it to his office for days before putting it in evidence.
Yep.
No one knows anything about what happens to all of the evidence. The chain of custody is so effed up that in a reasonable case, it will be thrown out. But this is Beverly. She's going to accept all of it. It's going to be worse than the judge in the Hales case. I can show you a video, Your Honor. Yeah, that's fine. That's evidence now. But on the face of it, if you ever watch the case, there are so many problems in this case. And I still can't get why people are sitting there and saying, "Yeah, she did it because she was kissing with Brian Higgins," or whatever his name is. Why should she kill a guy? She could just leave him. She had the money. He was a cop. She was a professor.
And why would you do it in front of another cop's house?
Yeah. Yeah, go watch the Lori Ann Phillips case. See how much that guy got hurt by a car. And it's roughly the same size of a car. Because this car was, I believe I looked it up, and it was 5,000 or 6,000 pound vehicle. The amount of force you generate would destroy something.
And that guy had all kinds of broken bones.
Yeah. Yeah, we have our disagreements. He really likes to, but as I say, all engagement, good or bad, are engagement. That counts on YouTube.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, C-Swip kind of yelled at him for a couple of hours yesterday. Oh yeah, I should make the Lego again. When I did my reenactment of the crime scene. But again, that's another thing. We don't talk about it. Where's the guy parked right behind them, where he supposedly got out of the car because she was sitting alone, 10 and 2, interior lights on in the car. To me, that sounds more like a lady who's sitting there waiting for her boyfriend, who said, I'm just gonna go in and say good night to all of them, honey. Because she had been angry at him before because he didn't come home.
He liked to party a little bit.
Yeah.
He liked to go out and maybe stay out a little too late.
Yeah, and if he had said, "Honey, I promised you, and I'll come down there and say hi to all of them," and she said, "Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes, and then I'm leaving." And she pulls up because someone pulls up behind her, says, "Well, I better leave some room. There's a lot of snow and ice on the ground. I'm going to move over here. What time is it?" Turns on the headlights and sits there in the car and thinks, "Oh, that mother effer. He's blowing me off again." Yeah, I know she left some harsh messages. I'm pretty sure Mrs. Valhalla, when he forgot that he had to pick her up somewhere. Also called him sugar muffins.
I would never not pick up Mrs. Valhalla. Never.
No.
I'm too old and I've been married too long to make that mistake, sir.
Yeah. but still, yeah, but she was angry at him. Yeah, so what? I was married for 18 months and he was angry at me every freaking day. It happens sometimes. It's everyone in our lives has said FUB word. Again, she has a stomach condition. If she said it on the way over there, because they were arguing in the car, she probably said, honey, could you please not do like you did on New Year's Eve? Stay out. I don't feel too well. You have the 2 kids at home. You know how I get when my stomach is upset. I really don't want to get up at 6 a.m. taking care of the kids because you know how I get. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab 1 beer, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said that the last time. I promise, you know I love you. You know I love you. I know I please stop singing.
Is this what?
Is
This is what ladies will expect.
Did you see what JV? Did you see how quick JV came in here to yell at us? She was like, what is he doing this for? This isn't good. Stop it.
No, I'm just like listening and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like this is every guy I know.
Yeah.
It went, man. It went.
Yeah.
The DA still hasn't turned over records that he was supposed to have turned over already. So the judge ordered him to do it again. Phone records, I think. Wasn't it phone records? The laboratory, the blood test and stuff still hasn't got back yet. But there's like 4 extra attorneys for all the third party people that are now tied up in this case. So that was interesting.
Yeah, so it was a good day again for the defense. More reasonable doubt, in my opinion. What is the DA saying?
Whole butt dial.
That
was
butt dial.
Great. You need to like snip that, Baker, and just put it in.
I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Bye. What was the DA saying was her motive to kill him? You don't kill your partner over an argument. Well, she killed him over an argument.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
But again, you have to remember it was involuntary. No, the first charge was
like accidental.
Yeah, because she was drunk driving and accidentally hit him. Then they upped the charge when she didn't take the plea deal. They upped it to vehicular homicide while drunk driving, because their first argument was she stabbed him in the face with a broken cocktail glass. That's why he had the cuts to his face. They went away from that theory. Then they said because Jen McCabe's husband said he saw her do a 3-point turn. So they claimed while doing a 3-point turn, she hit him and unalived him. Mm-hmm. Then they changed that to she moved 60 feet up the road and hammered it back 24.6 miles per hour in snowy conditions and hit him in the back of the head. Never touched anything else. Well, the arm, they couldn't really explain. Didn't touch anything else and only cracked the tail light. If you look up that Lexus model, it has a massive bumper. The knees would have been gone unless he was leaning forward. The last thing is we don't really know how she did it, but she did it. That's kind of where they are at now. And all of it because they might have been having some disagreement over that he had fed the daughter the wrong cereals in the morning, and they had an argument over the cereals. You have a lot of video where they are very lovingly to each other in a bar. But all of a sudden, she turns into a murdering, raging B-word when she gets in the car with him alone, is what you're supposed to believe. And another I wouldn't show a jury that either. She's happily standing. You have seen the picture where she looks up at him and you can see, oh, I'm in love with this big doofus. Half an hour later, she's putting her car in reverse and killing him.
because she's just over it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
No.
And not even that, like, I mean, the theory of like her getting so mad and just like hitting the reverse and doing that is one thing, but when you factor in the injuries, that's where it's just like it's not believable at all. Like, even if she was sitting here today and saying that's what she did, I would still question, but how? Because it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem. You have all these theories, and you have no clear. I think it's my favorite treehouse inhabitant who says that. Didn't he say you have to tell a story? I think it was him. Maybe it's not him. Or we talked about someone where maybe it's Dave. I'm not sure. Talked about a good case is you have to tell a story. You have to go. You have to paint a picture that is very easy to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
And right now, I can only paint the picture for the defense. I can't paint the DA's picture.
Yeah, I have no idea what they think they're going to get out of this.
No, and that's yeah. Well, I sent him a link if you want to come in here.
I know. I miss David.
Yeah, and they said that would be proven by the I don't know. Let's call it a tattletale in the car. Nothing on it. Hey, Dave.
Hey.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Well, we're just about rounding down, but we're just going over it again. That it just makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, none of the case does. It's supposed to start in April, and the state still hasn't turned over evidence. That's my gather.
No, the lab hasn't finished it yet. Come on.
The lab's still not finished. And then the evidence that they haven't complied to turn over to the third parties either. Yeah.
I saw a post the other day that had like clips, and it was like July of 2023. Turn over the evidence. Then it was September 2023. Turn over the evidence. November 2023. Turn over the evidence. Now we're still here. Turn over the evidence.
The first hearing we watched Valhalla and I together, he promised them that it will take maximum 6 weeks till they was finished doing the DNA evidence, and he would put a move on it right now. And then we had the hearing in February where the lab said, we haven't heard from him. He never contacted them again. So they just put it on the back burner and said, we don't need to do it.
Yeah.
That seems appropriate.
Yeah. And Lally, I'm not a lawyer. This might be lawyer talk. Lally had a piece of paper saying, you shall turn this over to third-party lawyers. And he thought, nah.
That's not what shall means.
Well, I had said this long ago that one of the fundamental problems with this particular case is that the state isn't turning over evidence. And someone had mentioned, finally, Karen Reed is going on the offense. All of this is unnecessary. The vast majority of cases, the state turns over all the evidence. I just had now we can argue about it. Like I had a trial scheduled for February, and the state turned over all of its evidence. Now, most of it was BS, and I filed a motion to exclude it, and then they responded, and most of it got excluded. That's a little bit of argument, but that's like 2 weeks before trial. The rest of it is like, we're not arguing over you should probably turn over this stuff, or, hey, I don't think you gave me everything. That's nonsense. The state is its own worst enemy there.
Yeah, and again, as I say, you don't have to make that conspiracy. You don't have to find that Proctor talked to McGinnis to talk to McJackson. No, you just have to say, it doesn't make sense that she hit him with the car because of the injuries. And we can bring in, now we have a fit the last hearing, a Fed guy said he wasn't hit by a car, and that car didn't get the damages by hitting someone. That's pretty. If they get him to testify to that, then you have the Silbright guy who says, "Well, clearly those searches happened." Oh, while I take a bio break, tell Dave about the magic of bedside phones.
Wait, what?
So apparently,
So
one.
It's been found out that Brian Higgins, who was in the house along with Brian Albert, because Albert is the one that owns the house, right? So Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, it was found out that they had actually, they were calling each other at like 2:22 in the morning.
Oh,
And,
yeah? Whispering
you know,
sweet nothings?
Mind you, they claim they were already saying that they had never talked to each other. But now it came out that they actually did. Along with the text message or the search that Jennifer McKay did at 2:27 for the How Long to Die in Cold is been confirmed. So anyways, this is just an extension of that whole they're calling each other. But go for it, Valhalla.
So the original story was that he was at home alone sleeping and his phone was on his bedside table. Then they got phone records and realized that there was a 17-second phone call that Albertson made to Higgins, right? Yeah. And then like 5 minutes later, there was a 22-second.
He's sleep dialed, like Leo Weiss's sleep bands.
The story he said after being called out for this, and then there was a 22-second phone call from Higgins to Albertson about 5 minutes later. He said that it happened essentially from his butt during the throes of passion with his wife, who wasn't there in the original story.
But then the other Brian said that his butt must have picked it up because he answered it, because it's been confirmed that it was answered. He must have butt answered it. So we were just like, all these butts are like answering phones and making.
He's just poking everything in the bedroom is what he's doing.
Well, you know, if you're at Vinegar Strokes, I can believe it.
But
the man's got a talented butt, that's for sure.
But the lawyer made like a butt remark that was really hilarious. I can't remember what it was. We're gonna have to go back and look. But
something about his butt answering the phone call and
he's like, that's
dialing.
a lot of like butt answering or something.
His butt was able to pick up his phone for the callback. His butt was able to pick up the phone, unlock the security passcode, and press the button to dial Albertson back.
Yeah.
It's a
You know,
talented
I went live on Facebook once while I was sleeping. I
didn't know you were that kind of streamer, bro. That a boy.
So apparently, I don't remember. I think I fell asleep watching something on Facebook because I used to follow, or I still do, this other YouTuber that also streams on Facebook. And I think at some point I must have rolled over and went live. And I discovered it in the morning, and there were all these comments from all these other people that follow this other YouTuber. This was like 8-10 years ago or something.
That's outstanding.
And they're like, "Oh, Helm's snoring," because we could like see it, but it was like dark, you know, and I'm just snoring away, and yeah. I wonder if that's still up. I'm gonna see if I can find that.
I'd like a copy of that video, please.
Yeah, everybody find that, please.
Oh,
yeah, and again, they lied to the grand jury, and when about the phone calls, and when they we just admitted it. I'm thinking Caleb Montgomery got 7 years in prison for lying to a grand jury. He's still an ATF agent.
Weird how that works.
It's funny how, but now they want to comply, and we're complying with everything, and everything's good. We're going to comply with everything. We are not putting any hindrance down. But it's just a fishing expedition, and there's nothing there.
Yep. It's just like such a crazy trial. I'm telling you.
When's it supposed to start? April something?
April
16th, I think.
16th.
Ooh, day after tax day. Get all your taxes filed. Or is that the new tax day? I don't even know.
I think that is tax day.
Oh, the 15th. Yeah, I think that is.
Oh,
Hey, Malcolm.
I have a trial. No. Do I have a trial? I have a trial starting in April. I might not be able to watch this thing. That sucks.
That will suck because, I mean, if they're gonna force it to go to trial, which I feel so terrible for that woman because
I can't imagine that this goes to trial.
she has like some great lawyers, and I love a good trial with some great lawyering. You know that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, her defense attorney, whatever his name is, he's gonna be good.
Yeah, Yanetti's good, but I love Alan Jackson. He is a little firecracker.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Janetti is more the correct
He's just, I don't know what it is about him. I like him, but Jackson he doesn't even need his papers half the time. He's just out there like preaching. It's crazy.
Yeah. No,
this
this
should be an interesting trial for sure. It's not going to get dismissed though, unless the judge dismisses it. But judges don't have balls to dismiss things anymore. Actually,
they're filing another motion to dismiss today for next hearing.
Yeah.
My police commissioner friend is going to come on a stream with me next week or so. We're going to talk about a story. Detroit police officer shot and killed a woman, and the judge actually dismissed it at the preliminary hearing stage. So this is just, is there probable cause to bind him over on a felony? And the judge dismissed it. So I'm going to get that recording and we're going to talk about it. But it seems very rare that a judge would dismiss stuff. I don't know if it was just because it was a police officer that it was dismissed or what's up. But this judge is not going to dismiss this, unfortunately. So it's going to go to trial.
That's what I was saying, because now that you're on here, it's like, how common is it that the judge actually dismisses things like this?
Well, what happens if the feds? What happens if the feds come in and press charges against these cops for homicide?
Well, that would be interesting.
But I really feel like what the feds are doing isn't really going to affect. They're investigating the investigation, but it doesn't seem like they're really pushing to stop anything, really.
Well, there's a difference between shoddy investigation and the cops doing the investigation are actually guilty of the murder, right? There's a big difference between that. And assuming they say, this investigation is all kinds of crap, you can use that in your defense. Not a problem. From my understanding is that the defense is going to be calling FBI agents, and they're all cops, right? At the end of the day, it's all government agents and it's all cops, and I don't trust a lick of them. But the general populace gives much more credit to the FBI and would believe them, in my opinion, more so than state troopers or local police or anything like that. So it could be a benefit just to have them as part of the defense witness team. But if they charge those people with murder, it's being federal court. I don't know if beyond calling the feds as defense witnesses, if it would really help her case, because I don't know. Maybe a judge would be willing to dismiss it then, actually. That could be the case. But no, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, we could all be surprised, I guess.
I'd love to see if they charge her or charge them before April, before this trial starts. That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you're the federal investigators, right, wouldn't you just kind of let things keep progressing and gather evidence so that your case is that much tighter?
Yeah. Yeah, feds won't charge for homicide, but they will charge for violation of your civil liberties, your civil rights. And so that would essentially be the angle that you would go after. Think, was this Derek Chauvin? Like, he wasn't being charged for homicide. Derek Chauvin or whatever. He wasn't being charged necessarily with just straight up homicide, because it's generally not a federal issue. That's a state issue. But he was being charged with all kinds of other civil right violations that led to the death of an individual. So
Yeah, but the thing you should, and that's why I say there's no abracadabra in trials. It just doesn't exist. What's good about this Fed investigation is the 6,300 pages they got from them showed a lot of stuff that the prosecution have been hiding from them, and that some of the witnesses have been lying to a grand jury.
Yep.
That's why the Feds is helping the case.
that's what I was going to say. Someone asked, how can you get away with lying to the grand jury? Easy. I was mistaken. What I knew at the time is what I testified to, but I know different now.
I believed I might have butt dialed, but I was intoxicated, so I could have answered the phone.
Well, I don't know that I do not remember calling anybody. I didn't call anybody. And then when it comes out, it's like, oh, well, you know, given the time and what I recall of that date, it must have been in the throes of passion.
Well, the one guy said that he didn't hear any throes of passion sounds though. So the one
Was
guy
he
acknowledged.
listening in?
The one guy
Oh,
acknowledged that he was on the phone.
Yeah, he's on the phone. Well,
So
there
the one
could be
guy at least
silence.
acknowledged it.
Some people like it slower, and you know, there's others who say, "Don't talk to me. Look away. Just do your thing." You know,
Yeah, I don't enjoy this. Just get it over with.
different strokes
AB
for different folks. Valhalla.
Are you finished yet? Is it one of those situations going on?
ABG, I'm from Denmark. That's why I have a slight Midwestern accent.
Oh.
But other than that, nothing to do other than wait for next week.
April.
No, next week. There's another hearing on Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
So
That'll be,
Yeah, that's the one where they're going to have the motion to dismiss heard.
yeah, but they have filed, I think, 3 motions to dismiss, motion for the judge to recuse herself, motion to sanction the DA, motion to sanction Lally. Nothing's going to happen. It's the judge who rules. But other than that, well, I'll be on Megan Fox tomorrow
Nice.
and talking about this case. And what are you going to do?
what are
Oh, hi.
Good segue.
I have Jody Saturday at noon Eastern, and then 9 o'clock Saturday. Myself and Valhalla will be interviewing Megan Fox on our Lego stream. So check that out. And look, I'm putting together right now our Valhalla and ours face-off when we simultaneously built the same thing in sort of a race competition, and that's my build right there from that. Look
Mine
at
does look better than yours, though.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. This is the one I failed to build in Sweden when I was up against Baker.
You finally finished it.
I took it home, and I had to take it home in pieces too, and leave clothing in Sweden. But I got it back home and finished it. Finally.
Nice.
So that's what I got going on.
Outstanding. MLS and I are doing the Megan Fox interview, Legos on Lego. God damn it, Megan. On Saturday. 2 Saturdays after that, we've got Rob from Law and Lumber. Are we announcing the other one yet or no?
No, we don't have a confirmed date yet.
Okay. And then the Saturday before Mother's Day, we've got Brandy Churchwell coming back and emceeing so that we can interview Wendy H., the beautiful and lovely.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that will be awesome.
I can't take this. I cannot take this.
I don't got anything.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
I can't hear your question. I can't hear you. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong.
How you doing, Jamie?
Hi.
Hi.
Call Silverman's office now.
You do that every time. You stare on me long enough, I start to talk, and then you interrupt me with these clips. That's fine.
Why are you yelling at him, Jamie? Stop yelling at Baker, please.
No, we're
He
done.
didn't do
now.
anything
We're
wrong.
done.
He's a nice man.
There we go.
There's
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I'm
I love it.
It's good. It's a good time.
Everyone, go out, be great. I'm gonna send you all over to Sweet Lady Churchwell.
Hold on. I'm not prepared for a redirect.
You got a minute
dual
outro.
streaming?
Have fun, everyone. See you all tomorrow on Megan Fox's or somewhere else. Go enjoy the evening.
Your Honor, I apologize.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor. 100, because it is 100% correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
You see the lawyer's face? Okay, we have to go back and they.
Widower case.
Did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't have cared?
No.
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
No.
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
Probably did. Everybody has.
Wait a minute, I need this story time.
Everybody has.
Everybody has.
Everyone has slept with his mother.
If I showed you.
Oof.
Oh my God.
I'm having a Jamie moment. And the way he just said it, he was just like, everyone had things on YouTube.
Mr. Randolph, do you?
I gotta get some man. You don't know.
Called him chicken shit.
That's right, you was chicken shit.